I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I love that song. I love just singing. And I love these Beatitudes. It's been a wonderful journey. And as we're here at the 6th Beatitude, we are really diving deep and allowing this wisdom from our master teacher Jesus, who delivered this Sermon on the Mount with obvious distinction to reveal to us, how do we do this journey? How do we awaken to God? And so our title today is The Beatitudes, Pure in Heart. We're going to start by going again to the Bible. This is the New Revised Standard Version. This is Matthew 5:8. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Now this is pretty self-explanatory. It's not hard to see that if something's pure in heart, we have the opportunity to see God. But as we've noticed with each one of these Beatitudes, there's more underneath that gives us some substance. And this is how it's a powerful tool for living our lives. This is no exception. Emmett Fox, wonderful author, he wrote this book, The Sermon on the Mount, and in it he says, in its full and complete sense, purity is recognizing God alone as the only real cause, the only real power in existence. We already know this. We claim it every Sunday. There is only one power and one presence in the universe and in our lives. So in truth, we could come to church every Sunday, claim that statement, and go home. Because if there's only one power, and there is only one power, then purity or pure in heart is identifying with that truth. There's one power. And where is it? It's right here. Touch your heart. It's right here. There's no separation between us and God. Now, as you know or may not know, I got my master's in spirituality at Holy Names University, Institute of Cultural Creation Spirituality, and one of the faculty was Neil Douglas Glotz, and I had the opportunity to study with this Aramaic scholar, and he is such a wise man, and he brought forth this understanding that Aramaic has multiple layers of meaning, and we can come into a greater awareness of what this means for us, and he offers this translation directly from the Aramaic to English, this beatitude. Aligned with the one are those whose lives radiate from the core of love. They shall see God everywhere. When we are able to get totally clear with our knowing, when we have hope, what are we going to see? We're going to see hope. When we feel gratitude. When we know gratitude, what are we going to experience? Nature is real simple. Plant a carrot, you get a carrot. Plant love, you're going to get love. And when we can plant this idea of the one always present, moving through us, since there's only one power, let that power be our guide. Let it be our knowing as we live, move, and breathe. Now, I love this quote, and I know most of you have been familiar to it, but I couldn't resist the temptation to bring it forth in this discussion. This is also from Matthew 22, 37 to 40. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. Do we need to quibble? Is this not clear? Loving God with all your heart, with all your mind, and all your soul is pure in heart. It's radiating the pureness of the unchanging presence of God that's everywhere in the universe, awakening us to us. God's not trying to awaken in us Bob or Rebecca. It's awakening us right now who we are. And goes on to say, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang the law and the prophets. So how important is this? Based on Matthew, based on this writing, it's saying this is the most important. So how important is love? It's number one. And in our own life, when we feel that deep love for our partner, for our kids, for our grandkids, for grandnieces and nephews, for our neighbor, for our community, doesn't it feel like we're touching something beyond what we can even describe? I think one of the things that's most challenging about our language, our English language, is that we don't have many words to describe these incredible, mysterious feelings. We use love to describe soap. We use love in all kinds of contexts. So what we're talking about here is divine love. God doesn't love us conditionally. God loves us unconditionally. No conditions and it's unchanging. So being pure of heart is taking an attitude of, I'm going to love unconditionally. It means I'm going to love you just the way you are, period. You don't have to change anything. Sound good to you? Yes, it sounds good, because as soon as we reflect that out to another, we feel it as well, because we can't do it for another if we don't have it for ourselves. So loving your neighbor as yourself requires you to love yourself. Now, conditional love of self we're quite used to. But when was the last time you turned unconditional love on yourself? That means just loving yourself exactly the way you are, period. No diet, no change, just the way I am. It's a good practice. It's a very good practice. And turning back to the wisdom of Emmett Fox, he goes on to say, to see God, in the sense referred here, signifies spiritual perception. And spiritual perception means just that capacity to apprehend the true nature of being, which we also sadly lack. Now, I'm in that category because sometimes I remember that I'm one with God, that I'm love expressing in the world. Right now, I'm quite in touch with it. But I can guarantee you, by the time I go to bed tonight, I will have moments when I've forgotten that I'm one with God, and I'm going to have a judgment, or a criticism, or a fear, or a human experience. So our journey of pure in heart is not absolute purity right now. It's allowing it to be as long as we're willing to be in it. And when we go off and entertain some drama, trauma, fill in the blank, we can entertain ourselves and come back to love. Because if we love God with all of our mind, heart, and soul, we are fulfilling our primary commandment of love. And to wrap this talk up, I turn to the wisdom of Elizabeth Sand Turner. Now, this Unity minister and author took on the entire Bible and translated in 3 volumes the entire Bible metaphysically. I think that's just an amazing accomplishment. And when you look in her writing at this particular beatitude, she says, when the consciousness is so purified that we perceive only one presence and one power, we are in reality seeing God. God's so big. God is so much more than we can perceive in each and every moment. But together, we can see God by being God in the world, expressing that unconditional love in how we relate to each other, how we acknowledge each other, how we awaken to this truth. And it's also important to look in the mirror and say, I love you just the way you are. And the mirror does not reflect back. Oh, no, you're not. It just reflects what you're seeing right now. And that's beautiful love. So let's just enjoy this for a moment and really drink it in. And I'm so grateful for these beatitude wisdom that is informing how we should live our lives. Thank you.
Step out on the water, release your faith. Every step is stronger. Step out on the water.